We're going to talk with James Field, who's the Director of Technology at NDS, about the needs for better protection on content now that cable operators and other service providers are moving into the TV everywhere space with providing premium content on multiple devices. The standard old-fashioned DRMs that have been used in the legacy environments on streamed video on the web have not passed muster in most cases with the studios and with the network programmers for protecting really high quality content. And of course that's opened up an opportunity for a company like you with a long history in conditional access to move into the space and get it right. But then you're dealing with all the legacy formats that are out there for DRM. So when did you guys decide and what drove you to making the shift to introduce a DRM?
Okay, we've been working in the IP space and connected space with our VideoGuard product for many years now. We've pioneered some of the first IP-delivered live streaming video with premium services in Asia and in Europe.
Okay.
So we've been doing a connected product for some time. I know we're known pretty much as a sort of satellite company wedded to the smart card, but that's not the case. I mean,
so this has been going on for a while.
Yes, indeed. So where we have we've taken advantage of broadband networks. So essentially, once you have a connected device, you're able to provide pretty much the same level of security by doing the secret stuff behind the DRM side, which is about exchanging secrets and it's key management essentially.
Yeah.
You're able to do that securely when you have a connected system. So we've been doing this for some time, and we have customers, particularly in the telco space, who've been adopting these technologies and rolled them out. So they've been operational. It's nothing new. I mean, what it comes down to with the other DRM services is how do you bridge that across to multiple devices?
And that's where you've been evolving.
Exactly. And I mean, typically this has come from our customers saying to us, you know, frankly, we want to be on an iPad or an iOS device. Now, as we all know, that's a closed, vertically integrated system governed by Apple. There's only one DRM solution that will work on that. So how can we work on a typical example of that platform to make sure that we can secure content and keep the studios happy? And that's the challenge.
Right.
So there we have to look how we can use the connected nature of the device to make sure we put in some evolving security solutions so that it's a moving target. We have a lot of technologies we can take from our existing environments in smart card and in online, so we can bring those technologies out and apply them to the DRM space. So we use some of the patented zero-knowledge authentication side of things, shared secrets. Where we can do, we'll put hooks into hardware. And this is no different from anyone else out there. If you can provide hardware and software-based security, that's going to be stronger than purely software-based security. And it works more than simple obfuscation, where you just, I mean, some of the earliest security on the internet was, use your MAC address, and that's enough to authenticate you. But we all know how easy that is to spoof. So we really proactively work on making the best possible security, because in the DRM world, your solution has to be approved by the studios, and the 7 major studios out there have approved NDS in principle, but then it comes down to the implementation they have to actually approve. So when you're an MSO and you say, okay, is your stuff approved? It says, yes, we are, we're approved, but you have to get your implementation approved. And that will come down to a per device implementation as well.
Yeah.
But that's not really the biggest problem. The biggest problem for an operator is, okay, if I'm going to address all these other devices, how can I manage that infrastructure? And how can I make sure that my rights and my intellectual property that I've licensed are supported not on just this one device, but all these other devices? So you've got this problem in the head end again of bringing together all these potential silos of DRM to address each device and manage those in one place.
Yeah.
So that's what our VG Connect product is doing. It's enabling you to manage multiple devices with the same level of security and rights management, because it is digital rights management. It's not security and encryption. A lot of people think it's all about security and encryption. It's principally about managing the rights and making sure that your customers get to watch what they've paid for and can only watch what they did pay for. And that's basically what it is.
And in that effort, how have you solved those problems? I mean, there are many different approaches that people have been applying. Are you supplanting, or not supplanting, but adding to the client base in each device your system?
The current approach is to deploy an application which has some of our secure libraries in there, which can be used to authenticate the service via the connection and can be used to consume that content. We're also able, in some of our customers, where we're using the ability to sideload content from an existing legacy set-top box out onto a companion device, we can then enable, because we're handing over from conditional access to DRM, we're then able to enable the watching of the content offline. If we have a secure chain of trust from an originally trusted source, we're able to bring that over and move that across. So we have got some deployments in North America and Europe where we are seeing people enabling offline viewing of content. So this stream of side loading where you can legally take content from your DVR, you can push it onto your device or synchronize it, and that's cross-device as well. So rolling out, first it's iOS, Android, Mac, PC, and we're moving those out.
Now, is that being approved?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, but here in the United States, it's more common to be doing it from the point of origin, right? And do it as an integrated, I mean, you've got, if a piece of content's being accessed on the set-top, then maybe it's somebody else's CA that's sitting there protecting it. If it's being accessed off some new device, then maybe it's your VG Connect that's sitting there.
Yep.
And in the case of VG Connect, you are providing an application into that device that allows that device then to respond to your keys and your protection
and to consume that. But at the back office, they're integrated, so the same conditional access keys are used to control, and the rights are being used to control both the consumption on the companion device and also on the set-top. So from a, an OSS
that's essential because the rights have to be mirrored.
Matched or mirrored, or not necessarily matched or mirrored. Again, it depends on how far MSOs today are willing to sort of push their licensing envelope. And most people today are starting with some of the channels, not all of the channels, let's say. And certainly when it comes to out-of-home viewing, that's where it even becomes a smaller subset. And it really comes down to the licensing provisions. And that's what DRM is about, is enforcing the licensing rights.
Now, what about in one of the key questions that comes up as far as how different this is from traditional DRM and is just the fact that you do have to get that subscriber information into that device. You don't want to be cloud basing all of that, I assume. So you got to protect that information.
Well, from the subscriber managing and I guess the provisioning of the device and recognizing that within the network, that's something which there is going to be a registration provision for that device anyway to make sure it can be watched, whether that's simply downloading the app and entering in your criteria, like a TV Everywhere criteria, you're just authenticating that you are a subscriber.
Right.
And as we know in North America, TV Everywhere authentication is fine.
But whatever subscriber-related information is going into that device, what I'm saying is that also has to be protected.
Yeah, I mean, that's as far as, it may not even be cached on the device itself. It's a matter of just using that to assemble a unique fingerprint for the device, which can then be used to uniquely identify it. So it's kind of a one-time hash you can create just to establish that's the device and pairing that device to your service.
So that's getting protected, though.
Yeah, and there are limitations on that as well about how many devices can you have in the home.
Yeah.
And that's got to be enforced as well. So there's policy enforcement, which is done in the back office as well.
Are your customers comfortable with this as a solution as far as getting it past, multiple stacks of DRMs and that kind of thing? And are they comfortable with the back office integration around that bring you in as a new party to the legacy system?
Clearly they are, or we wouldn't be doing it. I mean, this
is the question. I mean, you're doing it and you're offering it. The question is it being adopted and put into motion, or is there more work that needs to be done?
What we're seeing here is our first deployments are in fact using, for instance, most people are targeting the iOS devices, the first ones out there. Clearly there is no embedded VG Connect within there. VG Connect is then being used as a framework to work with the hardware which is available to us and the software infrastructure within the iOS development kit, so we can deploy a secure player effectively. And we can extend that out to make sure that will work on Android, game stations, and we can move those elements across. But in each implementation, we're creating a unique set of software which fits in and makes the best use of the hardware. So we're using all of the security
You're
tricks
using
and
what you
tips.
know about that hardware to make
Exactly.
sure that it's optimized for
Yeah.
that space.
And as secure as possible, and also maintaining.
That was my next question,
Yeah.
because the architectures are so different with these devices,
Mhm.
and there are certain holes and spaces in them that need
Absolutely.
to be protected that are different from one
And
device
indeed,
to the next.
it's, and as we talked in a previous session, just saying Android isn't good enough. It's, which version of Android and the security holes and patches. So clearly there's going to be some minimum requirements for each device.
Right, right.
But what we do ensure we put in there is the moving target security, which has been a part of VideoGuard all the way back.
And the moving target is simply that you upgrade it and change it.
Yeah, dynamically. So essentially, it's and security is there's no rocket science to it. It's about keeping ahead of the hackers, maintaining that moving target, continuing to invest in that. So your product becomes less attractive to attack. And we do this. We've done this for 20 years. We have a team, many teams working on this, so that if someone puts significant resources in to find out, to recover your keys, for instance, by the time they've done that, you've changed everything. So it's worthless. So it's a lot easier to go for the weaker target. And using the analogy of the home, some of us put the ADT burglar alarms on our homes. Oh, you get the fake box. I mean, the burglar typically is going to choose the home without it's the weaker target, the one without the box on the outside. It's like, well, this is probably a better road. And equally, people tend not to go in through the front door. So having the great lock on the front door isn't necessarily going to work. So because we have this history and the background and quite frankly the smarts, we've invested, I think, billions of dollars in our content security over the years. We're not a startup.
Yeah.
So we know how to do this from the ground up. We've got the processes internally, and that's why we've got the approval from the studios here.
Is it hard in North America to get MSOs who have been relying on traditional suppliers for set-tops to accept another party? Because, I mean, are they accepting you on the merits if, okay, your system works better than maybe that legacy supplier's system for the connected devices?
Okay. Well, we've got
is it
proven
a fairly level playing field, in other
It's
words, on that side?
interoperability, really. So it's interoperability. We've got proven interoperability through our deployments with Cablevision, where we've been here for many years. So we know how to work with the head ends, essentially, of these systems. And even we can do, we could do integration, and we've been down this route for many years, saying that we can supply alternative set-tops into the market. We can do simul crypting. That hasn't been particularly productive for us, but we are seeing, because we've spent the years building up our reputation overseas and now in North America, they know that we can do this. And we've got deployments now in North America and in Europe showing that we can do this complex job of bringing together the disparate devices, but keeping the studios happy. And frankly, consumers don't necessarily understand this. When we use DRM, and when I demonstrate this at trade shows, it's the dullest demo. It's like, you can watch it or you can't. It's like the consumers don't really care. It's just, I just want to watch this. And
Well,
why should I watch it?
it's funny, I was just about to ask a question, though, where there would be some care is any delay that might be imposed as a function of adding the security layer.
No, I mean, from the viewing perspective, it's just an intrinsic part of the player. It's no different from just watching it. It's just another software process that takes place. The processing speeds we've got on devices today way exceed our ability to watch that moving picture of 30 frames per second.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, here again, the question comes back to market adoption and how fast this stuff is rolling out as part of the whole multi-device. It's as important as the UI that we discussed earlier. It's all of a piece from the standpoint of these things have to work and they have to be in there. So I gather there's no gating factor left now other than the willingness of people to move ahead and get the stuff licensed to
Absolutely.
permissions
From
to do it.
Technology perspective, we're there. We've got all the major DRMs covered. Flash access, Windows Media Player, PlayReady, as well as our own VG software as well. So we can cover those three get out there. We can get onto iOS devices as well. So it's really, I guess, getting the rights. That's the thing. We can manage the rights, but you've got to get them first.
Does Dash add a new element that you have to conform to?
We're participating in Dash actively through our standards groups, and I think that's adding some additional layers and trying to standardize. But consumer devices move at internet speed, and so there will be an element of catch up. I mean, everybody would love to have a great standardized network there, but we've already got fragmentation. So it's a question as an operator, how do you have a managed approach to the fragmented device multi-screen environment?
So are you making those adjustments as they're kind of getting locked in? Because I understand Dash is starting to come to fruition.
Yeah, we are. We're contributing to that area and bringing what we know about the system and making sure we're compatible with that. I mean, it's any other standards players. It's supporting it in the same way we support Ultraviolet and Dece. We're in there as well. If our customers want to embrace these technologies, we're ready for them.
Good. All right, James. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.